Hello everybody, I'm Sirte Pihlejä from CXPA Finland and Shirute. I have here as a guest Jaana Rosendahl. She is a specialist in human-centric and enterprise design, partner and board member at Boardman. Welcome Jaana to this interview.
Thank you, it's a pleasure to be here.
So we were discussing CX and ROI, and I have a few questions for you about that. If you'd like to answer this. So first one is, how do you show the value of customers to your management team and board members?
Okay, I think we have to start when talking about value of customers and boards and management team. You first have to recognize that all the money comes from the customers. That is actually the value you get into your company. It comes from the customers. And then you have to make visible all the money flows, the cash flows, where they come from, and how you can make that more sustainable, how you can make it from transactional to more outcome and impact bound, so that you get customers that want to be your customers. You know why they are your customers, how their behavior changes, because it's easy to get a one-time customer, but then to have repeat customers and customers who prefer you and are loyal, and then maybe someday they will promote you. They will tell their friends and acquaintances that this is something you would want to try.
Right. What would you say would be the practical first steps to take in order to achieve this?
Okay, I think the first steps would be to make the P&L make it also from the customer point of view, because we are used to dealing with P&L from accounting perspective, and sometimes from product perspective, that you can put you do product accounting, but very seldom you have it from the strategic customer segment perspective, so that you would know that which are the customers you want to have, which are the customers that are cash flow customers, and which one are the ones that are not so profitable at the moment. But you would have to somehow segment your customers into some strategic groups that you can follow over the time, so that you can see that did we get the customers we wanted with this campaign, or did we get some other customers we didn't really notice? Then we can start asking that why.
Right. Do you advise to start from the so-called high ROI activities, and how do you know which these are beforehand? And what to expect?
If we're talking about customer experiences and their ROI, so I think we have to know something about the customers. I have this experience of one board chair who asked from a CX director in a board meeting that how do you know that exactly this is where we should put our money, because they were talking about that about customer investments, and she didn't know. That is something that you have to know. You have to describe your customer journey from customer's point of view, not your selling journey, and see what are important to customers, what are not, where what is emotionally important, what is rationally important, what happens in the customer's journey, and then you can give them cost stamps. This costs this much to make better, and then you can start doing that. Do first the things that you are that are very important and maybe emotionally negative. Start from them, and those that are least expensive. Then you can start like it is a jigsaw puzzle. You can put those, start putting like price tags on them, and then you have to do your homework before.
So we're talking about changing the mindset and the culture within an organization to be more customer centric. Do you have any examples of cases where a marketing or CX director managed to disseminate in a way customer centricity throughout an entire organization?
I think first of all, it will never be a CX or marketing director. It will have to be the whole. CX director could, with the help of the CEO, get the whole top management team around it, but they need to have the board on board also.
That's
because it is very difficult to implement sustainably the customer centricity thinking, the mindset, if you don't have the board thinking alike. You like need to learn together what this is all about. How do we what kind of processes it needs, what kind of structures are needed, how the metrics are coming, because you are doing some new metrics also, and then you have to, everybody is thinking, oh, we used to do this, how does this relate to that? So it will be a common endeavor, as you could say. It is a journey you have to like go on. So you can't, there is not one person who can be the hero. It is the whole team and the board, and if there is an owner, you have to get them on board too.
That's for sure. But in general, you have to have somebody who's driving the activities. So do you have any good practical examples of companies or organizations where this would really have been achievement, that the outcome was a more customer-centric organization as a whole?
I know some of these companies that are doing it at the moment, like in Finland, like Fennia or Grano or Fredman Group. But I couldn't say that in which phase they are, or they need. Everybody is so different in their activities, but at the moment I couldn't say more about them.
What should you start with, and how do you know whether it even makes sense to do this in an organization? It's not something for every organization at every stage of their development. So when do you know that it's the right time and the right organization to start a customer-centric transformation?
The CEO has to understand it, or in the board, you have to get the common understanding that this would be, it is very much like a few start points that you are seeing that these strategic advantages you have now, they are not really enough. And then you have the possibility to incrementally creep on. But as the market has changed so much, so you could think about like pivoting. You could start thinking about that. What would it mean to us if we would take the customer dominant logic, start thinking from outside in? And that's the first step. What would it mean to us? And then maybe talk to somebody who has done it or started their journey or whatever. And then like thinking about it, how much would we need to change? Is it now or is it like further on? And is this something for us? Because you have to really think about it, because it is, I think, better that way, that the top management really analyzes the situation before just barging on.
So it's a team, in a way, it's a team decision, is what you're saying.
It is a team decision, and it is something that you have to consider. It not something that, as we have been doing it, I think, for the past 10 to 20 years, we just say, oh yes, this is something we want, this makes sense, we just do it. And then we have a marketing director, or customer relationships director, or as today, CX director, who we like give the responsibility of this. And that's the old way of doing things, because this is not an add-on feature. It is a change of whole identity and the mindset. So that's why it is harder, and that's why you have to really think about it and not just like fall in love with it and think that this is just something that somebody comes here and does for us.
Like a checkbox exercise.
Yes.
How long, in your view, does it take to make all this mindset change happen within an organization?
In a way, it is a long journey, but I would say that from 3 to 5 years, depending on a company, that the tipping point, so that it starts to be in the culture, because it is in the culture when people do it without the leadership or some manager being there. They just start being very self-directed on the direction they are going, and doing their own decisions, and all the time aligning it with everybody else.
Yeah, and then you can say that it's actually a part of your DNA within the organization, that everybody knows, and they feel good within their skin to do that.
Yes, they all have their own roles in it. They are not just doing a work. They know their job description also from the customer point of view. They know that they are here to help customers in this part of their journey.
Right. An interesting question is pitching big companies against smaller companies. We always talk about the big companies doing this and that, but what about if you're sitting on the board or management team of a small company? How do they know that CX? I mean, they in general know the term, but don't necessarily know what to do with or around it. So if thinking of CX maturity, if the small company is on the level, say 1, when you have a scale from 1 to 5, and people on the board are skeptic for B2B customer segmentation and profiling, what would be your advice on how to proceed? If you are there, like, hoping that this CX would gain more terrain?
I think the best way is to make the advantages visible. And the first, of course, I have to go back to the first question, that you have to put the financials from the customer perspective, because you can do that without the board going through with the segmentation process from their perspective, because you can do it. I have said that you could use the very known Boston matrix that you use for the products, to put the star products and whatever, cows and dogs and all that. You could actually think that as from customer perspective, that you have your customers you want, they are the future customers, and then there are the cash flow customers that have they are maybe your past desired customers, and this way so that you can put them on those 3 quarters, and then you start telling, if you have your hopefully your financial officer on board, you could get the money and the costs to these, so that you can show that how this goes, how every sales campaign you get in those segments, how it starts to show you that the future customers you need for your future survival, they like, do they come on board or not?
So basically, show me the money, and starting to show the money and the effects that you have actually had on these different groups or segments.
Yeah, and I think it is mostly the show me the money, follow the money, first follow the money, then you can show it, and then you can start talking about it, because I know these numbers, they just generate some very interesting questions, and then there is the next one and the next one, and then why did we do that, and why can't we do something else, or we got that, why? And I think that like generates the discussion that takes it forward.
And I think that in general we tend to, as CX professionals or practitioners, to talk too much about NPS and these fluffy kind of CX metrics, whereas our counterparts on the boards and management teams are talking about the money metrics. And do you have any advice on that? That how would you make this transformation from one terminology to the other so that you would gain more thought leadership?
Yeah, because I'm not very excited about NPS. I try to avoid it, because if you don't have the segmentation, it doesn't tell you anything. Actually, you want those customers that you have segmented as our future or our desired customers. There should be the NPS higher, and the NPS is very much what you are, or how you are metering it, because the metrics, you could take just a transaction and ask, was it good, a little bit like a happy or not, would you promote this transaction, or after a while think about all what has happened in this campaign, would you consider promoting this to somebody? Or then after, like, you're in a brand level, that everything you have experienced, heard, whatever about this company, would you advocate it? They are different levels of the NPS.
Totally different things measuring.
Yes, so that's why I think it is a little bit fuzzy in that sense. So that you
should always be relating the so-called CX metrics to financial metrics, so that because people are bound to be interested in what they are being measured about, and usually within a company it is the financial metrics. So there is.
But also, I think you should make people understand that the short-term metrics and long-term metrics, they are related, and they are just building on each other, so that you can't, if you need some this campaign, we would like to get this much sales. If you get the sales, but you at the same time you should get the people considering you from a better light. Well, yeah, next time I'll call back to them also, and then on that words, so that you don't it is like every person or whatever is there that you have to like build on the relationship
True.
to get it going.
We're getting closer to the end of this interview, so I have one more question for you, and I would like to ask for and pick your brain for a tip that you would like to give to people who are looking into bringing customer centricity into their organization and how to move forward with that. What should they do? Do you have a great tip?
As I have said before also, I would say that you should fall in love with tech because it is everywhere. You can't get the measurements, you can't get the integrated picture from your customers without the technology. And you can't leave the technology to the CIOs because they are so alone with it as you are with your CX. And then you should integrate that to the all the information, also the future trends and whatnot, the market information, how that affects your customers, so that you can get as I say, a customer market insight engine, a growth engine to your company, and everybody sees it from different perspectives. Also, the board is like looking at the same insights, but they have the longer term view as the operative persons are looking at the shorter term view, but they all integrate in the same growth machine in a way.
Okay. Well, I think that we shall all start building our own growth machines and help customers feel better. Thank you so much, Jaana, for joining us for this interview.